In this short video, I'm going to show you how you can quickly get started using the LX NLP Server software for AWS. In particular, I'm going to show you how to use the Jupyter interactive JavaScript development environment, and we'll use that to build a simple sentiment analysis tool. The first thing you'll want to do just to get set up is to visit the IP address of your LX server on AWS, just going to the IP address of the VM. And under this Jupyter section, there's a couple setup steps that you have to do before you can use it. First thing is you have to open up port 8080 on your VM. So that means editing your security group and making sure you have this custom TCP port rule. You'll then want to log into your virtual machine via SSH or PuTTY and execute this command, which starts the Jupyter server. So after the setup step, that means we have Jupyter running. And as indicated here, we can go visit port 8080 of our server and access the Jupyter environment. So let's open up a new document, which in Jupyter are called notebooks. So this is a Jupyter notebook for JavaScript. And the boxes are called cells. In each cell you can enter JavaScript code and then execute it right away. So we're going to get started by just loading a couple of required modules. The first is the NLP toolkit itself, which is preloaded on the server. The second one is a simple utility that allows us to simply read lines from a text file, and that is not pre-installed, but I installed it with npm before starting this tutorial. So now I'm going to press Shift-Enter, which executes those commands. So those modules are now loaded, and it brings me to a new cell where I can enter more commands. So I'm going to create a reader object so we can read some lines from this text file that I've uploaded. Now let's just okay, if I can type better. Let's read the first line of that file, which is in JSON. So there's a line from the file. This is actually a log of messages coming from Twitter. And so here you see the first message in the file. It's in JSON, as I said, and the message field is actually the text of the Twitter message. So the first step for any NLP processing is going to be to load the text into the toolkit via the entry point, which is tokenize. And tokenize is going to take your text passage and split it into tokens and return you a NLP object, document object. So let's just look at what's in that object. So this is what it returned. It's an NLP document, and it contains a single field, which is an array of tokens, which is split up. And then I can run other NLP functions now on this document, such as pause tagging. So I just ran the pause tag method on the document, and you can see it added a new field to the document, POS, which contains the part of speech for each of the tokens in the token field. So a lot of the NLP methods work that way. They add a new field with new attributes, and you get an array which is parallel to the tokens array. So let's build a function to do sentiment analysis. So I'm going to create a function which takes in a text passage, and the first thing we do is create a document just like we did above through, again, that entry point tokenize. And now all of the, most of the NLP toolkit methods return the document so that you can chain them together. So NLP tokenize is going to return a document, and I can call the pause tag method on that document, which returns the document. So I can chain these together. I'm going to call the WordNet method. WordNet maps the tokens to words in the WordNet dictionary. This is a widely used public English dictionary. I'm then going to call sentences. The map sentences method looks for punctuation and marks the ends of sentences. And we're going to call one more method, which is map negation, which is important for sentiment analysis. It goes through and marks phrases that are being negated by a not, for example. So we don't want to interpret I am not happy as being happy. We want to be able to mark that happy is negated by the preceding not word. And so that's what map negation does. So this is kind of a minimal pipeline for doing sentiment analysis. I've added parts of speech tags. I've converted to the WordNet dictionary, which is where we get our sentiment scores. And I've mapped sentences and marked the negated phrases. So now I'm going to call and return the actual social sentiment. There's two sentiment methods. I'm calling the social one, which is geared towards short texts, and it has a slightly different scoring algorithm. So if I've typed that all correctly, we have a sentiment pipeline, and we can call that on that line that we've already loaded. And it'll return a positive sentiment of 0.17. So that's moderately positive. You get positive real numbers for positive sentiment and negative real numbers for negative sentiment. And the closer to 0, the less certain it is. So to finish this up, let's just create an array and process all of the data in the file. As I said, looping over lines in a file are very simple with the nReadLines package and avoids you from having to do any kind of ugly asynchronous stuff. So I'm just going to push into my sentiment array the results of this sentiment pipeline function on the message I'm getting from the file. And there's not a lot of tweets in there, 156, so it doesn't take very long to execute that. And you see here we've got a big array of sentiments, one per line in our file. Well, that's it for this sample application, and I hope now you can appreciate a little bit the utility of this interactive development environment Jupyter that's available with the LX server, and it'll take a little time to experiment with it yourself. Thanks for watching.